Hello everyone, so I have some gaming news for you guys today, and today in particular is all going to have to do with Nintendo. Now when it comes to Nintendo, a lot of people have noticed some various changes going throughout Nintendo, and a lot of things that have changed about them, and a couple of things that have not changed that need to be changed. And I guess you could say for the most part, since a lot of these are going to be having to do with various different things having to do with Nintendo, there might be a couple of things I might ramble a little bit about. Now first up, of course, is the new Nintendo 3DS. I don't know if it's called the new 3DS or the new Nintendo 3DS, but there's a new iteration of the already existing 3DS, and even though it hasn't been that long since they released the last version of it, they're already releasing another version, and it's going to have an XL version of it actually available right away, which is pretty nice, and it's not going to come out until 2015, at least here in the United States. It's already available in Japan, which a lot of things are usually released there first, at least from Nintendo and sometimes Sony, at least with their newer PS Vita and that kind of stuff. And the main differences on this, which most of them are actually pretty good, one of them, of course, is the specs. The CPU chip within it is like 3 times stronger, I believe, and it has 2 times more RAM, which is actually pretty good. And the other thing is that it has like some sort of like a rubbery type of texture, something that's kind of like a joystick. It's like a secondary joystick, but it's like one of those things you saw on older laptops that would usually be like right between a couple of keys, and you would press on it and then just like lean your thumb on it in different directions. And the thing was just super uberly sensitive, which was, I guess you could say, kind of good, because at least on laptops in particular, it's annoying to just have to drag your finger across it all the time just to get from one side of the screen to the other, because they're not sensitive or accurate enough usually. But it makes me worry because those things were overly sensitive and they're just very annoying and actually hard to use. And one of the new games is actually going to be requiring you to use this or use the newer 3DS in order to be able to even play the game, and that is a Xenoblade Chronicles, I believe it's called. And I'm a really big fan of the series. I am very happy to hear that there's going to be another game released soon, but to see that it's going to be forcing people to have to buy the new 3DS just to be able to play it kind of upsets me, because I could easily tell you they could have just turned off a couple of those features and made them work on the older version of the 3DS. Now, one of the biggest changes, which is the one I'm really happy about, is they've made some improvements on the 3D effect of the screen. And, I'll definitely give them props for the fact that the screen does not require glasses or anything like that in order for you to be able to get the 3D effect when you're playing games. And I know a lot of people that turn off the 3D just because, it gives them headaches and it's just really annoying and it could just mess with their eyes and that kind of stuff. Or sometimes it could actually make them feel sick a little bit, depending on the motion and that kind of stuff. But the main thing that annoyed me for the longest time about the 3DS was the fact that you had to hold it at a very, and I mean very specific angle to get that full 3D effect. If you just barely turned it, it would just like ruin it. It would just ruin it, and it would just look very weird, and it was very annoying. You had to literally like sit like a statue just to get that perfect 3D effect. So now you'll be able to turn it a lot more, and overall you're going to be able to look at it from slightly different angles and be able to get that full 3D effect a lot easier, which is really nice. So if you just slightly shake up, or if you just get up and you're walking and maybe you just slightly moved it or something like that, you should be able to enjoy your game with the full 3D effect a lot easier now, which I'm really happy about. And the other main thing is that the colors of the buttons on the right side of the screen or the device itself are very interesting colors. They're simple colors, but just the variants of those colors are pretty interesting. I really like the way it looks and just how they colored those buttons instead of just making them simply with a black background and then like white text or something like that, which you see on a lot of portable devices overall. Now, the other big thing about Nintendo is that this new 3DS is going to be region locked, which doesn't surprise some people, but for people like me it does, because region lock is one of those things that companies should not do. They simply should not do. I can understand in a couple of case scenarios, a couple of unique things that that might be some sort of like, I don't know, like legal issues or something like that they might have to worry about, or technology issues because things work differently in different countries, different types of, Wi-Fi connections and other things, and, some sort of incompatibility issue they would have to worry about. But other than that, region lock is something that really shouldn't, be here on any platform, whether it's a portable or a console. And I remember when Nintendo was that one company that did not have any of their systems region locked, at least for a set amount of time, and both Microsoft and Sony, their systems were region locked, and Nintendo was that one company that did not region lock their system. But now, Sony and Microsoft, their systems are not region locked, but Nintendo's is, which is very, very strange. And that's why I find it really strange that it seems like they completely switch sides and everything's completely different now. And that's the thing about Nintendo, at least nowadays. I feel like there are certain things that they need to change and do to adapt to the market because it's changed so much, but they're not willing to change those things because they're so stubborn. And it's good that they're stubborn from certain perspectives, because if you change too often, or if you just go with the flow too much, it can actually be quite a bad thing, because change isn't always a good thing. I don't care what anybody says. Change is not always a good thing. Some types of change are good, some of them aren't. It's like trying to repair something that's not even broken, or mess with something that wasn't even broken. It's something you shouldn't be doing, you know what I mean? It can really make things worse. So this is just one of those small things that's like, Nintendo, if you just didn't make your systems region locked, I'm sure a lot of people love you so much more, but since now you're the only company that does that, it kind of looks really bad. Now, the other third piece of news about Nintendo is that they have recently laid off 320 employees, specifically from the European division of Nintendo. And so for those of you out there that just got laid off, I'm really, really sorry about that. It's kind of like recently with Microsoft. And if you're watching this, Jerry, sorry again for getting laid off, after working for Microsoft for 15 years. So even though this is very, very different, I feel like even though they didn't have as many employees laid off as Microsoft did, it's actually a much worse impact than, Microsoft, how much employees they actually laid off, because Nintendo, compared to Sony and Microsoft, they have much smaller teams. Like, their teams that make these amazing games are a fraction of the size of how big the teams are that make a lot of the exclusive games for Sony and Microsoft. And the company itself has far fewer employees and people working for them, which is another reason why your chances of working for Nintendo is very slim. You have to be the top of the line, some of the best, most advanced, most smart and talented people within the gaming industry to even get a chance to work with Nintendo. And seeing 320 employees, which is a pretty noticeable number, considering how small their company is compared to Sony and Microsoft, the percentage of how much that affects their company is huge. And the other thing, and this is something I don't really know exactly much about, but it's something I hope they actually do, or if they previously did, then good job, is that a while back, 3 or 4 months ago, a lot of the CEOs from Sony actually took a budget cut, which was really, really smart, because it saved the company, because the CEOs always get more money than all the other employees. But since they did that, it helped the company so much. And I wish the CEOs from Nintendo would do the same thing, because maybe they wouldn't have had to have fired as many employees. Now, here's something I'm just going to ramble on about a little bit, and sorry for this video for being very, very, very long, but one of the things I wish Nintendo would do, which I think this would be a really great thing for them to do, especially now, is to partner up with or buy out Capcom, also known as Crapcom. And Capcom's about to go into debt. Things are looking very, very bad for them, and that's why they're doing a lot of HD remakes, because they're easier to make, and so then they can make enough profit to be able to continue as a company. And recently they sued another company, which, hey, Capcom, stop being greedy. Like, are you really going to try to ruin your own reputation just to get some more money? Like, it's those kind of things that annoy me. But Capcom owns so many games and so many series that are amazing, and they've made so many good games, and they've been a great publisher for so many awesome series. And I really wish, and this is something people have wished for a long time, that Capcom and Nintendo would work together, or Nintendo would buy out Capcom. But I feel like right now would be the absolute best time to do that, because one, Capcom is about to go out of business. They have like probably a little bit more than $10 or $20 million in the bank, which, considering how much money it costs to build one full AAA game, is not that much money. And Nintendo is slowly but surely starting to go down a little bit, and things are not looking good for them. They're going in a bad direction right now. And if they work together, it would be great, because one, Capcom would be able to stay as a publisher, they'd be able to keep on making games, and two, Nintendo would have a lot of AAA games, as long as they, made sure that Capcom understood that, hey, as long as we're working with you, or as long as we own you, you have to make games for our platform. If they did something like that, at least for the Wii U, not the 3DS, but for the Wii U, Nintendo would have so many AAA games starting to be supported on their platform, and that would make things so much better. And slowly but surely, other companies would start developing games for the Wii U as well, and it would make things just completely turn around for Nintendo. But the fact that they're not doing this really worries me. I understand there's probably a dispute between the two companies, but if both of them just were willing to work together in their time of need in order to save each other as companies and to keep things afloat, that would be a really, really great thing for both of them. And you know, it's just one of those things I really, really wish would happen, but you know, just like a lot of other things, it just sometimes it never does happen. So other than that, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Let me guys know what you think in the comment section below as far as like Nintendo goes. How many employees they laid off? Do you feel really bad for them? Do you think it's really that big of a change or a bad thing for them? Is there anything in particular that you're really, really nervous about or you don't like about the direction as far as like where Nintendo is going right now? Really let me guys know what you think in the comment section below, because there are so many things about Nintendo that we could talk about. I love the company. They make amazing games, and I still need to get Wind Waker HD. That's a really, really great game. Oh, I remember the original game. That was amazing. So for the next couple of days, you guys should be seeing some more videos from me, so definitely look forward to seeing those pretty soon. So other than that, guys, thank you all again, guys, for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.